hope you're safe and at home. Don't be traveling outside. The temperature's supposed to drop. That's my little weather report. Don't worry about it. You're inside. Chief, enjoy your dinner. All the other friends on Comcast 7 in Bethel Park, thanks for watching the show. That's only in Bethel Park, Comcast 7. We appreciate all the viewers, and we wish we could get somewhere else on Comcast 7, but that's how it is. On Verizon 32, also in Bethel Park and everywhere else, thanks for watching us tonight. We appreciate it. From Nemacolin all the way to Cranberry, Wexford. And somebody told me in Uniontown they thought they saw us. So, can't beat that. I don't know what happened. Maybe something bounced off a cloud or an ice storm and somebody saw us. So thanks for watching. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip the Prophet Hayner. Smoking Jim Frazier is here this week. He said he got to watch half of the Al and Chip show last week and he enjoyed how nice the lighting is. He didn't listen to any content we had, but he said the lighting was nice, so thanks to Tessa.
Nothing about the con.
Right, Tessa's our camera person.
White guys look good on TV.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. Can you lighten that up and down at that end a little bit? More light, please. I don't have that tan. Hold it, Smoking Jim, I got a tan again. I'm as white as the cup here, too.
Yeah.
Well, enough of that. Devin Shea's in the control room. Last week we had a couple other people there. I want to send my condolences to Chip and his family, losing his uncle, who is basically like his brother, very sad. So he's in our prayers, and I know they have a couple special events. If you want to say where they're going to be, why don't we do that right now?
Well, there'll be an event at the Baltimore House on Saturday, February the 20th. This is to help defer some of the medical costs.
And say his name.
Cancer, Anthony Barone's memorial benefit. He passed from liver cancer. There's going to be 41 musicians that have donated their time for this event. It starts at 3 o'clock on Saturday, goes till 10. You're welcome to come, listen to some great music, some great stories, and help a worthy cause.
That's great. I'll help the family. So may he rest in peace. Another person we had a death with is Chris Satter. He's one of our camera people and a great volunteer here. His mother passed. I didn't know she was sick, and it's just terrible. So I just want to take a few seconds in honor of her. May she also rest in peace. And we don't always have fun things to say, and a lot of things, tragedies do happen in other people's lives, but we will talk some sports, I guarantee that, and we're going to start that shortly. I want to first thank our sponsor. I don't know if you can pull that up, but before you look at this, Olive Oil's Pizzeria, Smoking Jim's up. He just finished that hoagie. That Italian hoagie's gone. Call them 412-831-1900. Tessa, that's better. Now they can see that. They got a lot of specials right now if you go in and pick up some things. So give them a call. Call my man Zach there, 412-831-1900. Thanks again, Olive Oil's Pizzeria. We appreciate it. I don't have a lot of stuff to pass out. We already went to different events, so no more events to go out, except we'll talk on our location at Atria's on next Monday, the 22nd. And we'll start our show like we always do with what's on our mind. But hold it, I've got to first announce our Facebook likes.
Oh, yes.
We're at the highest we've been, 5,146. So thanks to all the new friends and the new likes. We appreciate it. And we'll have more shows coming out there for you like tonight's. Hope you like the lighting, because Smoking Jim loves it. You could take your coat off and stay a while.
It's a jacket.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a vest.
Well, now that we clarified that, he's a fashionista.
Hey, the Hollywood fashion plate is my life.
All right, Smoking Jim Frazier, what's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the Talking Machine. And if you want the green,
It's coming at you.
You got to see Levine. Just on a sad note, one that you missed is former world heavyweight kickboxing champion Jaquay Bazemore.
I assumed that you would say it because you introduced me to him. And he's a legend in everybody's mind, and was a legend in mine. Just to interrupt you, that one of the nicest guys that I ever met, one of the toughest guys that I ever met, who was a champion. Not only was he a champion in his, you'll explain about that, but he also sparred with Muhammad Ali. Yeah. And you didn't know this, but I told him, I said, you're better looking than Muhammad Ali.
Did you tell him that?
And
he sounded like Howard Cosell when you said
yeah,
that.
and he had the biggest smile on his face, and we remained friends, and he always said, I'll be on your show. He said, I'll come out. I said, no hurry, no worry. Little did I know. Wow. He looked in great shape. What a handshake. That's why I can't even believe he's passed away.
Yeah, I seen him at the City of Pittsburgh Hall of Fame banquet. I and Franco Harris was together then, and he kind of didn't look like himself.
Really?
Still looked good, still talked, asked about you.
Did he?
And I had some questions about Liz Costa. But who don't? But so he wasn't that sick then. You know,
I don't understand that. But you mean Championship Chase host?
Yeah, she happened to be in the house, and he had some inquiries there. But hey, I'll get to what's on my mind. The Pittsburgh Sportsline High School Player of the Year, Female Player of the Year. We have to go to a 5'5" freshman, white girl, from Amani Christian Academy. She is the only player in WPIL history in any classification to score 1,000 points in one single season. And that honor goes to none other than Kelly Koenig. And looking forward to seeing her over the next 3 years. In the Pittsburgh Sportsline Male
Did you say
player
she's
of the
player
year.
of the year? Okay.
She's player of the year.
All right.
Player of the year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, by the way, she put up Pistol Pete-like numbers this year. She averaged, 46 points a game?
Yeah,
Incredible.
That's incredible.
And whether man, woman, it doesn't matter. That's an incredible achievement.
Yeah.
And you say she's a sophomore?
She's a freshman.
Freshman.
Ninth grade.
She's a freshman.
Ninth grade. So.
Yeah.
You know what? I sense that on location we're going to have a guest that's 5'5" and set a record this year.
So when do you think Gino Auriemma is going to come down and sign her?
Well, she got 16 scholarship offers already.
That's already on the table.
She got 16 scholarship offers already, only in ninth grade, and
That's super.
The male athlete of the week, the year, and I had to split here, so I had the co-champions.
It's not surprising.
One is Nellie Cummings, junior from Lincoln Park High School, averaging 24 points a game. And number two, and I would have been remiss, is that a word?
Remiss.
If
No T at the end.
If I didn't give this one, because this is one of Al Levine, the Talking Machine's favorites, none other than Darius Wise from Beaver.
Whoa.
Average junior.
And one of your favorites.
24 points a game in basketball, also a great football player. And the Pittsburgh Sportsline regular season coach of the year. These are all regular season awards.
We never even knew that it was time for these awards.
I think this might be the future state champion.
That's right. Got to go to Buddy Valansky from Alderdice High School. And that's what's on my mind.
Good job, Jim. Good job.
I was so unprepared for that. I don't even know how to react to it. More future guests, I assume. Smoking Jim. Thank you. Now, will there be any more players of the year, or it depends on the sport? Because I'm so confused with the awards that are Pittsburgh Sportsline awards.
Yes, Pittsburgh Sportsline will be they will be in the stands at a lot of lacrosse games this year. So you could hear some lacrosse players getting some recognition.
There you go.
We're at. We're at.
Everywhere. Okay. Lacrosse is everywhere.
Everywhere
Track and field is coming up.
Softball, everywhere
baseball.
they play it. Everywhere they play
You know
it.
how much I love my baseball.
I'm going to quiz you. I'm going to quiz you later on the show.
Just ask him when spring training starts. That's the first question, please.
Well, he's going to find out real soon.
I just want you to ask that question. That'll show you his love of baseball. Because Babe Ruth is still looking over Pirate fans. Not. All right. Sorry. I can't help myself, Smoking Jim. That was a great opening. Chip Hayner, what is on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan. And you know, Smoke and Jim touched on the goings on in the WPIAL
What's that?
basketball, because the basketball playoffs are coming up. Well, where I'm going to go as far as basketball goes is I'm going to go down to Oakland. And I think it's time that we start taking the Pitt men's basketball program a little bit to task. And, you know, and I will say this, you know, Jamie Dixon is a great basketball coach. I just don't know if right now the Pitt Panthers is the right place for him to be coaching at this point. His team has become stagnant. They're incapable of beating a ranked team. This year, they're 0-5 against ranked teams. You know, here's a team that could potentially win 20 games this season and not make the NCAA tournament. The quality of the play that the teams that they play out of conference is poor at best, and they are not a team that's built to win in the ACC. You know, Jamie Dixon had the Pitt basketball program as one of the elite teams in one of the elite conferences in the country when they were in the Big East. They were one of the 4 marquee teams that were constantly fighting for the championship of that league. And now they just seem to me like they're just an also-ran in the ACC. Yeah. And there's such a big buzz in Oakland right now with what Pat Narduzzi's doing with the football team. And, you know, the basketball team,
not so much.
Put simply, was embarrassed on Sunday. They got run out of the gym in Chapel Hill. Tonight, they are playing arguably the worst team in the ACC. And, you know, Pitt's got to beat them by 40 points if they're going to get any semblance of respect back. But still, they've got 2 big games coming up, one against Louisville, one against Duke. And they need to win, in my mind's eye, they need to win both these games if they want to have any chance to make the tournament. I don't see them winning either of them. So I'm just wondering if the masterminds at Pitt are going to say, you know, is it time that we brought some new ideas, some fresh blood into the Pitt basketball program? In my opinion, I think it's time.
Thanks, Chip. We got to see what's the update on that score. They started at 7 o'clock, and the Deacons have only lost 10 in a row.
Yeah,
you know that. So.
Yes, I do.
All right. I can say no more about Pitt. Go Pitt. On another note, you got to love James Harrison. His agent said he's going to re-sign with the Steelers. The Steelers said that James Harrison's going to sign with them. And guess what James Harrison said? We'll see about that. Where is he going? He'll be 38 years old. You know, he's under a little suspicion that maybe he's getting some help. Why wouldn't you just sign? Come on in. You looked in great shape. For your age, you outworked a lot of young players. But in the offseason, you need a little controversy like this. So, of course, it caught my eye. Because why doesn't he just be quiet and do it? That's all that would happen. Look, there's a guy that was out of football 3 years ago.
Well, James,
so
James is under contract for next year. And,
that's why for him to say, we'll see about that, that's even crazier. There's no sense.
And he was an asset to that defense this year. I think he's probably one of the best linebackers on the field in the playoff game against the Broncos.
Oh, without a doubt. I agree with you there. That's why I say he's back. Let's use him until he's done. That's usually what happens. So just take it. Don't think about any more money. You're blessed. You got it. You made it this long. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And then show all those weights that you're lifting and the bars bending, and then tell them your age, too. Stop doing that. Don't show all those little videos because Smoking Jim's impressed. He wants to lift with you again. The power lifters compete. So that's what's on my mind. Go Steelers. Just wish James would be a little quiet there. All right, let's go to some segments here. First segment up is Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Part 2. Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about weekend in 1994, excuse me. I wasn't even born yet in 84. But 94.
We can't verify that. There's rumors you were.
When I went down to Tennessee to watch Peyton Manning mooning everybody in the training room. but when I was down there, I heard on the radio that the guy that was up for the Heisman, Steve McNair, was playing in Tennessee. And so I wanted to see Steve McNair for myself, so I drove to the game, and I got there, and Steve McNair had one of the greatest games you ever want to see. He threw 7 touchdown passes.
Alcorn State?
Alcorn State threw 7 touchdown passes en route to being 3rd in the Heisman voting that year. He rushed for over 100 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. And
that means he accounted for 9 touchdowns?
Yeah. And
I'm quick on that.
Threw for over 600 yards.
You probably sold popcorn at halftime.
Yeah, I mean it was a tremendous
hot dogs.
Tremendous game. Threw his
no mustard.
Threw his brother out of the game about 3 times. His brother was a wide receiver, and he would just throw him out of the game. He'd just get mad at him, throw him out of the game. Wasn't doing what he wanted him to do. And I kept walking around the stands and asking everybody, who's number 80 for the other team? Who's number 80 for the other team? They're like, who cares? Look what Aaron McNair is doing. Walking around, who's number 80 for Tennessee Chattanooga? Finally found out it was a junior wide receiver, kind of tall and thin, but outstanding talent by the name of Terrell Owens, that goes by T.O. now. Wrote every general manager in National Football League. I says, draft this kid. He's going to be a superstar in the National Football League. And then NFL, I think he went 7th round a year later to San Francisco, and the rest is history. And should have probably been the first ballot Hall of Fame. Finally, I don't like discrimination of any kind, especially reverse discrimination. Kevin Green finally gets into the Hall of Fame about 20 years too late. Should have been the first ballot Hall of Fame. Still the number 1 linebacker in terms of sacks, 153rd all time, 160. Got 28 more sacks than Lawrence Taylor, who's considered the greatest sacker of all time. Congratulations to the man, Kevin Green, for getting into the Hall of Fame. And in my opinion, not to extend it, as much as I love him, how is Tony Dungy getting in the Hall of Fame over Jimmy Johnson? Makes no sense to me. But congratulations, Tony Dungy. Love talking to you. He's my, he's my spiritual father.
Inspirational type.
Yeah, every time I talk to him, he gives me a nugget, a word of wisdom, a very religious guy. But you can't go in the Hall of Fame over Jimmy Johnson, I'm sorry.
Well, I think that Tony Dungy getting elected into the Hall of Fame is going to raise a lot of questions about a lot of coaches that aren't in the Hall of Fame with equivalent records comparable to Tony Dungy.
Bill Cowher.
And that's what I was going to make. I personally, going into this, I didn't really feel like Bill Cowher had a Hall of Fame resume, but
get on the bandwagon.
Do you compare it to the people that are there? Mm-hmm. You got to compare apples to apples, and I think
since you opened it up, I wasn't a Cowher fan for the Hall of Fame for numerous reasons. With Tony Dungy in, the chin will be in.
My man, the bandwagon is loading up. We started you on them.
We got on the Cowher bandwagon. Now I just got to get Jim onto the Bucko bandwagon.
I'm on.
Don't lie. He's not a baseball fan.
If they play, God forbid that they lose the opener, you'll write them off like you did.
Or the first 3 games.
Yeah. Hey, I listened to the show last week, and you guys convinced me to be on the Bucko bandwagon.
Okay.
Really? I thought it was just the lighting.
He actually did listen.
And watch, because he saw the lighting. Smoking Jim, you're one of the best. There's not even anybody second. They can't be. You get a night off, driving through ice and snow, hurried up to get home and safe, didn't even get your Burger King and chicken, and you watched us. I'm honored. Unbelievable. You almost brought a tear to my eye. All right. Chip, we got to go to some Chip's trivia time.
Well,
let's do it.
And what do you think my trivia might be about this week? Tomorrow, baseball. The pitchers and catchers report Wednesday, February 17th. The regular position players report on Friday. Andrew McCutcheon's already down at Pirate City, working out, ready to go. He's all healed up and ready
Smoking
to go.
Jim, you know what time of year it is in baseball.
What days does the first baseman go?
Well,
Last
The
week.
pitchers, catchers, and
well,
first baseman?
it'll be shortly after somebody signs Pedro Alvarez because he's still without a job.
You mean MVP?
So just to kind of get us into the baseball mood, and oh, by the way, I do have my tickets for the home opener. But just to give you a quick history of this amazing franchise, the Pittsburgh Pirates have been around since 1887. They started out playing as the Pittsburgh Alleghenies from 1887 to 1889. And from 1890 to the present, they were called the Pittsburgh Pirates. And they got their nickname because of the way that the Pirates were consistently signing players off of other teams' rosters, subsequently pirating their players to play for our team. So that's how they ended up with the name as the Pittsburgh Pirates, if anybody was wondering how that moniker came about.
Never knew that.
In the Pirates' illustrious history, they have had 47 managers, starting with Horace Phillips in 1887, and all the way up to present day with Clint Hurdle. I believe one of the greatest managers the Pirates ever had. Managed the team for a good portion of my early years of my life was Danny Murtaugh. Danny Murtaugh brought 2 world championships to Pittsburgh. He was a coach and a mentor to Roberto Clemente, and he was his unique ability was to be able to get the most out of each and every player. He knew what buttons to press. I can remember a couple of years ago while we were interviewing Al Oliver on the phone here, and I asked him, what made Danny Murtaugh such an intriguing manager and why he was so good, and that was what he said. Words were right out of his mouth. He knew exactly how to get the most out of each and every one of his players.
Did he speak Spanish?
Don't know.
He knew how to spit tobacco.
So also in the Pirates' history, they have played in 5 stadiums. The first one being Recreation Park, and they played in that facility. It was in the north side. From 1887 to 1890. They played in Exposition Park from 1891 until 1909, which was also on the North Shore. Followed by Forbes Field, which was their home for 61 years, from 1909 to 1970.
30-0.
And then they moved over to Three Rivers Stadium in the summer of 1970. They moved over in the middle of the year, not at the end, or at the beginning. And then once Three Rivers Stadium was imploded, PNC has been open since 2001 to the present.
Beautiful park.
Also, I think it's the most beautiful park in the United States.
Let's not go
but I
overboard.
do have a little bit of a biased opinion, okay? In the Pirates' history, they've had 5 world champions, 1909, 1903, 1909, 1925, 1960, the year I was born, 71, and 1979.
Yeah, I was born.
They have made 7 appearances in the World Series.
terrified.
They made their first appearance in the very first World Series ever in 1903, losing to Boston, and they also lost in 1927 to the Murderers
Smoking
Row
Jim.
New York Yankees.
Ask him about that team.
I heard about that.
The
I read the book.
greatest lineup in baseball history with Babe Ruth, Luke
There's a
Gehrig.
baseball fan. Look at that look.
That quizzical look. The Pirates have played in 9 league championship series appearances, and league championship play didn't start until 1970. Okay, so they played in the league championship series in 70, 71, 72, 74, 75, 79. Then the 3 years with Jim Leland in 1990, 91, and 92. And also, we have been wild card recipients. Yes, it does.
Now, buddy.
It does now in the baseball stratosphere. 3 years in a row: 2013, 14, and 15.
Ernest Wagner rolling over in his grave.
No, he is not.
He isn't. The Flying Dutchman was happy. He's pro Pirates.
Now, also,
Go.
just some
Buckeyes.
other facts about the Pirates is that the Pirates. There have been 37 Hall of Famers that have played all or part of their career here with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Starting with Jake Beckley in 1889 to 1888 to 1889, and then from 1891 to 96. And wrapping up all the way with the most recent electee, I believe, would have been Bill Mazeroski. Okay, but there's been a ton of players: Max Carey, Fred Clark, Roberto Clemente, Barney Dreyfuss, one of the owners, Ralph Kiner, Bill Mazeroski, Willie Stargell, Pie Trainer, Archie Vaughn, Hannes Wagner, Lloyd Wayner, and Paul Wayner, Big and Little Poison. So 37 Hall of Famers.
Do you think Dave Parker should be in?
You know what? Because the criteria isn't clear, I think Dave Parker is another victim of sports writers' bias towards certain athletes. Dave Parker didn't make a lot of friends in the press box, and I think that's one of the things that keeps him from being in. Personally, I feel his accomplishments on the field would probably warrant it.
Getting blackballed.
What it could be. So,
plus, he was the first $1 million ball player. You know, a lot of people hate you for that stuff.
So just to kind of wrap up, because I don't want to go through each and every one of these. There's a lot of stuff here. It would all kind of blend in. But the Pirates have 10 numbers that are retired. From number 1 for Billy Meyer, who was a manager, Ralph Kiner with number 4, Stargell with 8, Mazeroski with number 9, Paul Wayner number 11, Pie Trainer number 20, Roberto Clemente 21, Hannes Wagner 33, Danny Murtaugh's number was retired, number 40. Then every team in Major League Baseball retired, number 42, Jackie Robinson's number. All-Star games hosted. We have been the host of 5 All-Star games, the most recent being in 2006. I happened to attend one in 1974. We've had one All-Star game MVP.
To interrupt you, I don't know if you know, I think I might have mentioned it, but I was there that day. All the way up behind the flag, me and about 5 other guys from the Post
You brought
Gazette
the flag
Press.
back with you.
I know. That's why I had to bring it back up.
and I'll
we
tell
were
you-
so high up there.
We were up in the 600 section.
Yeah,
that
we were-
was
We were
way up
right
there.
near the roof, right where the flag is, out in
And
center
We
field.
sat down in our seats and oxygen masks dropped on us.
It was
what they call pigeons.
it was so.
Pigeons up there.
We were so high up there that, the different people, the vendors, nobody'd come up to us. They weren't coming up. All we wanted was All-Star Cokes. I can remember one of my friends yelling it out. If you ever get to meet him, he's quite the character, and Vince Stish, and he was yelling for All-Star Cokes.
Oh, yeah?
Okay, so
that's what we're
to
there
kind of
for.
wrap it up, we've had one All-Star Game MVP, Dave Parker, 1979, an All-Star game to
Hall of
remember.
Fame.
And Jim can remember what he did in that game. Do you remember what he did?
It's
He
blurry.
threw out 2 runners, and one at third base, one at home.
We don't know if he was born then or not, because he just said before 79 he wasn't. So
Just to kind of, to keep it moving, get moving on. The awards that have been bestowed upon the Pirates. Manager of the Year 3 times, Jim Leland twice, Clint Hurdle once. Rookie of the Year, we've had one Rookie of the Year, Jason Bay in 2004.
He won that?
Fireman of the Year award was won by Mark Melanson last year.
did he?
No, we have had no Hank Aaron Award winners. We've had 2 Cy Young Award winners for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Doug Drabick in 1990
remember that.
and Vernon Law in 1960. We have had 8 MVPs. Most Valuable Player of the League, Paul Wayner, Dick Grote, Roberto Clemente, Dave Parker, Willie Stargell, Barry Bonds twice, Andrew McCutcheon.
Who won it twice?
Barry Bonds. He still didn't throw out Sid Bream. What's your point?
And he did it without steroids.
Okay, and getting closer to wrapping this up, League Championship Series MVPs. We've had 2. 1979, Willie Stargell won the League Championship MVP. World Series MVP, Roberto Clemente in 1971. Wow. Over the course of the history of the Pittsburgh Pirates, there have been 6 no-hitters pitched. Starting with Nick Maddox in 1907, but more recently, Bob Moose, Doc Ellis, John Candelaria, and the last no-hitter pitched at Three Rivers Stadium by Francisco Cordoba and Ricardo Rincon, a 10-inning no-hitter against the Houston Astros. I happened to be at that game. Then, last but not least, we have had 23 times in Pirates history that a batter has hit for the cycle. Now,
Explain
being the baseball aficionado that you are, what is hitting for the cycle, Jim?
Go ahead, you get to let
They get on a
everybody know.
bicycle and they
I don't
go
want to
around.
dominate.
No, it's when a batter gets a single, a double, a triple, and a home run in a 9-inning baseball game, and that has happened 23 times. We've had 2 people do it twice. The last time it was done here at PNC Park, I believe, Darrell Ward did it on May the 26th of 2004. Jason Kendall did it in 2000. Gary Reedus, Mike Easler. Willie Stargell hit for the cycle, believe it or not.
He used to be fast.
Yes, he sure did.
Chicken on the hill.
So, there has been one unassisted triple play in the history of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it was in 1925 by Glenn Wright. But, I'm excited for this season. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team plays out. Just to give you an idea of the ups and downs that the Pirates organization has had over the years, the best season the Pirates ever had was in 1909. They won 110 games and they lost 42. Their worst season ever, Jim? 1890. They won 23 games and lost 113.
Wow.
So I think we're going to get a whole lot closer to 100 this year.
Not according to Vegas.
What'd you bet already, Smoking Jim?
Well,
how about that? How about that lead pipe lock for the Super Bowl? Okay.
yeah, there you go. I got a trivia request.
Sure.
In the future, if you can, please find out the greatest pirate that wore number 42. I'd be interested in that.
I'll see what I can. Personally, the way I feel about number 42 being retired for all the teams in Major League Baseball, Jackie Robinson played for the Dodgers. I think it makes sense to retire that number for the Dodgers. Jackie Robinson did break down the color barrier in baseball. That being said, the person that broke down the barriers for Latin American players was Roberto Clemente. And I think that the Major League Baseball should retire the number 21 across the board in recognition of his accomplishments. But that's just my humble opinion.
Well, I agree with you on it. If you're going to do it for something like that, look at old Latin America, all those countries. They're playing baseball because of Roberto.
Right.
That's amazing in itself.
And I will look into that. I will look into that, Jim. I don't have an answer for you today.
Well, the good Latin American players, we as blacks claim them. The ones that aren't good, we don't. But so we claim Roberto. But
folks, I don't know where this is going or where it went or where it came from.
Y'all can have Alex from
But I got to throw the disclaimer out. Smoking Jim has always said, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. So I don't know how he could make that statement. That's why I was anticipating that.
Brother Roberto.
He didn't know until he started on Pittsburgh Sportsline who Roberto Clemente was. I wanted to give you a little trivia of my own. I've said it before. I just enjoy that memory. The last day of Forbes Field, with the great history it had, I was there with about 4 friends. We got to see the whole game. And then afterwards, it was a sight that I'll never forget. People were running. They were picking out chairs, picking out, everything, grass, jumping on the batting cage. Smoking Jim, I know you're so young that you never got to see the batting cage at Forbes Field.
He used to wheel it out through
bigger
center
than this
field.
room. Kids were jumping on there. It was out in center field, which had one of the longest center fields in sports. But it was just crazy. The police couldn't stop them. I think some of them were grabbing some of the things, too, to take home. Yeah. And I ran into my one neighbor about 2 weeks ago, Smoking Jim. He has 4 of the seats from Forbes Field.
Really?
And he didn't take them that day. And he ended up buying them years later for like $10 a piece. Had them fixed up there in his game room where he can watch TV. And it's just...
And they're probably just as uncomfortable today as they were then.
The only thing I told him is all these people have great memories of Forbes Field. And I enjoyed it too as a kid. But the one problem I had is I was little when I was a child, like most people are. And I was always sat behind a beam that was huge.
In right field.
Yeah. And I could not see the game, so I would stand up. And when you go to walk around, it smelled like a urinal, an outdoor urinal.
Wow.
And that's not pleasant. Do you want a hot dog, popcorn? I'll leave that thought alone. Have the good memories of Forbes Field.
The good food was being sold on the streets outside of the
Always.
stadium.
We never ate.
No.
not even.
All the local bars and restaurants put out spreads and barbecue grills, and they sausage.
Frankie
and peppers
Gustine had a restaurant there. The ex-Pirate retired from there.
Yeah, you got better food outside of the stadium than you do inside.
Well, let me before we go to the bag of peanuts, let me
The best bag of peanuts.
here's the only thing that I have a problem with in terms of retired numbers in baseball, and it's the reason why baseball keeps losing its popularity. Is because, I mean, why in the world would you retire? First of all, I have problems with baseball managers, 60, 70, 80-year-old guys wearing a uniform like they're ready to play. And number two, why are you retiring their numbers? They're not players.
Well, Jim,
It's good numbers are retiring.
Managing a baseball team is definitely an art, and it's not something that everybody can do. There's been
I agree with
more untold thousands of managers that had great baseball teams that failed miserably because they didn't know how to manage the game. Well, you can't name them because you can't remember them. Okay, they're gone. They're out of history. I mean,
Chip, that's a good answer. But hey, Smoking Jim, you're against the managers wearing uniforms.
Yeah.
One of the greatest managers never wore a uniform.
I didn't know that.
He's in the Hall of Fame. Connie Mack.
he wore a suit.
I like that. I mean, not necessarily a suit, but I don't think that you should.
Well, when they went to baseball games,
Smoking
Smoking Jim, when people went to baseball games, like when the Pirates won the World Series in 1909, they wore suits. Most of the crowd was men, and they all wore suits, whether they're young or old.
You see the pictures that I shared?
Sure, whether they're black, white, or whatever color you want to pick
and
out.
most of the baseball stadiums were in the urban areas, were in the cities themselves. Nowadays, with the exception, you've got PNC Park and down on the North Shore, but a lot of these places, the stadiums are outside of the city limits. So what people would do is they would leave work. They'd be at their office. They'd walk over. They'd catch however much of the baseball game. So they'd be dressed in their suit, just from work. And
might only cost them
and
a
the ball
quarter.
field was in walking distance from where they
suit
worked.
and ties. They all had them on.
Yeah, I see the pictures. They were sharp, man. In sporting events, boxing matches, they were all suited and booted.
Should we go back to that? Just thought I'd throw it out. That was extended trivia time.
Good job.
With Chip, the Prophet Hayner, and Smoking Jim adding in, and I was reminiscing a little. So hope you enjoyed this segment that got extended.
Yeah, that'll take care of our pirate segment. For this
No. We could go back because I want to touch on it a little bit.
We had enough.
No, well, here's why. You didn't use that word spring training but more than once. So I want to try to hammer the point home that spring training starts, and that's what starts the baseball season for the people that love baseball, Chip, as you know.
Oh, absolutely.
But our friend missed that, but that's all right. I'll give, we'll go on location. I got two for you to try to pull in here. Now, everybody knows Smoking Jim and I like to eat, and they try to accommodate us. There's the Talking Machine Big Mouth Burger, and there's I can't even say that off, featuring Smoking Jim's Round Mound of pot roast nachos. And you know what? When Stella shared half of
I think they were
that,
giving you a shot.
they were so good, he still doesn't know what's in them. Okay, and he was afraid to ask because he did tell me.
Yeah, after the first time he ate him, he told him, "Please don't anybody try to drug test me."
They were too good. But we'll be back
They
there.
don't have any pot in them, Jim.
I'm glad you explained it to him, Lucy, there, because he needed that. So we have a great bunch of guests coming next week. I did have an artist that, Chip, you'd find this interesting. He paints with tennis balls, footballs. He actually paints like you can't believe. It's a perfect piece of art. He's done airplanes. He's done sporting teams. You would never know he's not using a brush.
Sounds fascinating.
Well, he's not going to be there next week. His name is Art Mosser, and he's not going to be there because he got a previous engagement, but he is going to be there in March. We got extended. We're going to be going back to Atria's in March, so we'll have 2 more weeks in March before baseball season starts. So I'm excited about that, and we do have great guests coming out this Monday. Stay tuned on Facebook. I'll be posting it up on who's coming out there and which sweeties that Smoking Jim invites. Because he's on a hot streak this year. Hasn't missed one show without a sweetie for Jimmy. So stay tuned for that. And whatever they say, that's what he believes from what I've seen. I don't even understand the statement sometimes, but it's amazing. My friend has gone to a new level this year. Never seen him at that. And that's our own location. But I did want to talk a little boxing here because Smoking Jim and I are honored to be announcing boxing at the Southside 3. It's Sokol Club on Saturday night, 7:30, first fight. And Smoking Jim's going to have a full day. So I wanted to show you how he is the busiest man in Pittsburgh media. I always say it, other people are picking up on it. But could you tell them, first of all, you don't sleep, but what's going to happen Saturday?
Well, I sleep 2 days a week, but Saturday won't be one of those days. But
all your sweeties are going to know your secrets now. All right.
So Saturday morning.
What happens in Smoking Jim's life? Just listen to this, folks.
I got to pull a double duty, which is almost impossible to do. Is not only am I covering the City League High School girls and boys basketball championships at the warehouse. Oh, the Peterson Event Center. It looked like Sam's Club on the inside. But not only am I doing that, but I'm also writing a full-page article for the newspaper.
Tell them
for
what
both
newspaper.
games,
I don't
for
know. It's a good newspaper.
For the new Pittsburgh Courier. So in between games and before games, I got to get interviews and I got to keep notes and write things down, the whole bit. And then the exciting part of my day starts because I get to hang out with Al Levine, the Tonka Machine, on the South Side, where we'll be probably doing about 15 fights, amateur boxing.
At least a dozen.
For a great
At least a dozen
cause.
that I heard.
Yeah.
So, the City League Championship. What's it going to be, an Alderdice and Obama affair, boys and girls, right?
Is that to the plan? Thank you.
I'm glad you're on top of it, Jim.
Thanks. I got a few more days.
The Alderdice girls team is playing Obama Academy, and then the Alderdice boys team is playing Obama Academy. So
so that'll be at least one route. The Alderdice girls playing too.
Yeah.
Obama. Wow. So that'd be. Yeah, I gotta
stutter,
have my
buddy.
green and white. I gotta have my green and white on.
Do you want me to help you write that article?
Yeah, you sure can.
Because I know who's playing
sure
the game.
Hey, Chip, here's what I'll tell you to do. Text them the information that you have, and that'll be a great story because he'll fill in the blanks. I guarantee it.
And your secret's safe with me, Jim.
And nobody else is listening to this. So,
ask me no questions, I'll tell you no lies.
and as long as he has the story done by Monday, everything is good.
Everything is good.
So, you think you'll get to talk about boxing on in the newspaper or not? You're going to write about boxing too?
I probably won't. I'll probably save that for the Golden Glove Championships.
Yeah, because it'll be Golden Glove season.
Yeah.
So we'll see a lot of young amateurs.
Yeah, you and I usually do the championship bouts for the Golden Gloves. I happen not to know when that'll be this year, but I'm sure it'll be sometime before May.
It'll be an exciting
It's on a
day.
need-to-know basis, and right now Jim doesn't need to know. It'll just get confusing for him. Hey, just tell him when to show.
Well, that's exactly what we do. I told him, see you about 6:30. And the Donnellys, Rich and Melissa, we saw them at the fights in West Virginia. They said, make sure you stop upstairs there to get something to eat.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, you have to remember that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So we got that set up for you.
Last time you didn't bring me back a piece of kielbasa. You didn't know I like that. So
No. You told me you don't eat much, and I put all kind of sauerkraut on it. Different things like that.
I just found out what's in sauerkraut. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, you
on a long drive home.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
We had one of the greatest trips. We got to talk a road trip there.
Mr. Magoo.
Chip, we said we'd meet. 3 friends, Smoking Jim, myself, and Jody. Figured we'd meet. He has us meet at the Walmart in Robinson on a Saturday night. Now, just by Chip's little sigh there, I told Smoking Jim, I'm at a light 4 times going in. You know, I had to wait till 4 changes. He goes, talking machine, what do you mean? I just thought you wouldn't get towed later on out of Walmart because they let anybody stay there all day long. And I'm like, do you realize Robinson's one of the worst places to go into anytime, let alone on a Saturday night, about 5 o'clock. But guess what? We started out, all of a sudden there's a pop-up snowstorm, and yes, Smoking Jim, it was a whiteout. Smoking Jim was so courteous, he volunteered to drive. After I moved the inventory in the back, I had a place to fit in, so I was able to sit there. Man, that was one of the safest drives I ever had because you have to listen to this. He brought peanuts as a snack. Now, if you've seen him eat, you don't have peanuts when he's driving. So I kept saying, Smoking Jim, we don't make a left here. Try to stay away from the right side of the road. And luckily, he was going 18 miles per hour.
I was going to say, he probably maxed out at about 25.
He didn't hit it.
That was on the interstate.
Yeah, and this is, all of a sudden, Smoking Jim goes, and I said I'm trying to be positive about him, so this is a positive story. He goes, you know we're in West Virginia now? I go, yeah, that big sign just said. I think it said God's country.
I thought it was because nobody had any shoes on.
No, but we made it there safe. Then we saw at Mountaineer Casino, what a nice venue this was. My hat goes off to Made Men Productions, Angelo Magnone. What an event he put on. The West Virginia judges and officials, James Frio, Tommy Wilson, just treated us royally. We were there, over 1,000 people in this ballroom, and it was set up very nice. Great fights. I think there were 8 great fights, knockouts. One of our young guys that we liked, we've watched him, he's undefeated, Matt Conway, went 6 rounds with one of the toughest guys that I've ever seen in the ring, Eric Palmer. I mean, he's a sheet metal union guy, but he works for the paycheck, he'll tell you that. He was in one heck of a fight with Matt. Matt was pummeling him, knocking him around, and Eric wouldn't go down. You could hit him in the head. I said, man, you got a cement head like some of the guys I worked with at the Press and Post-Gazette. You couldn't knock him down, and Matt even agreed. And Matt hit him with a punch that I could have sworn. I'm sitting next to the doctor. Somehow, Smoking Jim, I left him and Jody and got to sit ringside.
We're in peanut heaven.
Yeah, right next to the. I know, you ate more peanuts. You know what? He had so many peanuts that night. Unbelievable. But the doctor even said, that punch that Matt threw, I'd be surprised if he didn't break a rib.
Wow.
And the kid finished the round. 2 more rounds he went. So my hat goes off to Eric. Matt Conway was unreal. Joey Holt had a fight. He's an MMA guy. He's a boxer. He may only fight one more time in the cage. He just was unreal. You could see the talent this guy has and the skills. And here's a nice thing I like. These guys were in shape for the fights.
Yes, sir.
And I'm always impressed because I couldn't do what they do. I don't even want to try. I don't dream of it. I'm no fighter. I'll just talk. I'm a talker. I said, I'll talk any of them, anytime, anywhere. Even the lumberjack. And he said, I won't take that challenge, but he's out in the ring soon. But yeah, it was just great to see. We saw Morgan Fitch, the big chief. He won his fight, got a unanimous decision. We also saw one of our favorites, Josh, the handsome hitman.
Yes, sir.
Himes. Chip, he hit this guy 3, 4, 5 times, knocked him down 3 times. The last one ended the fight at 2 minutes and 58 seconds of the first round.
Wow.
So the crowd went crazy. It was just great to see nice boxing like that. We're getting fired up for the boxing season, so stay tuned. We'll have the show from Saturday. That'll be up probably the next week, so you'll be able to check out the fighting. And Dave Cable puts it up Friday nights and Saturday nights so you can see boxing like in the old days on TV. So that's some of our previews for the boxing and what Smoking Jim does on one day. And I don't know how he's going to drive from the City League Championship games all the way to Southside and be on time.
I'll put my GPS in.
You cross the Birmingham Bridge, okay, and you're there.
And that shows you that even if you're directionally challenged, And even if you don't know a speed limit and you go below it, you can still take people safely to an event.
Hey, a little update on the Pitt game. Pitt's got a 35-33 lead at the half over Wake Forest, which does not bode well. If they let this team stay close to them, they will lose.
Well, I know the Deacons, what are they?
Demon Deacons.
Demon Deacons, yeah. They actually won a few games against some quality teams, UCLA.
Tim Duncan played in Wake Forest, didn't he?
Yeah. I think they beat UCLA, Indiana, a couple other teams earlier in the year. So
Well,
maybe they're reverting back to how they started the season.
Well,
Pitt happens to be the fall guy now.
well,
Chip, you may have been a prophet again.
I don't know.
Unbelievable.
I just think that that right now that the arrow's going up on the football team, and I think the arrow's starting to go down on the basketball
How can you
team.
tell that with the football team?
Because see,
Just-
like the pointy part of the arrow is pointing to the ceiling.
But how can you tell it's going up?
Well,
Military
I
bowl?
mean, look,
Military bowl's going
well,
up?
look what they did. They won 8 games last year. Okay. When was the last time a Pitt football team won 8 games?
When Walt Harris
They had a good recruiting class, and there's,
Really?
there's some
They're
things.
ranked 40th.
Well, out of what, 130 teams? Come on, they used to be ranked 130th.
That's a top third, buddy.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
used to be top- top
see, Jim,
five
you have
on
to
the
start looking
majors
at the
here.
glass as
When do
being
you remember
half
that?
full, okay? Trust me.
When can he remember that they were in the top 3?
I read.
You don't even read. Forget about it. We'll go back to Sweeties for Jimmy or something.
But can I
You have some,
Just
a
real
minute
quick,
to talk.
wanted
Yeah,
to-
go ahead.
say we got some real good interviews in this weekend, newspaper interviews. And I had to call my dad and scold him a little bit. I had to chew my dad out a little bit because
Don't
I
say
said,
this.
yeah, I mean, my dad is my hero. And I had to yell at my dad. I said, Dad, I thought this guy was 6'7", 4'240", with a Michael Jordan and Michael Jordan vertical jump. And I'm talking to him, and he's this big, and he tells me his name, and I'm like, are there 2 of you? The Duquesne University had their all-century team.
Okay.
Put 27 players in the all-century team. And I'm talking to the legendary Willie Somerset.
No.
And oh my goodness, he's 5'8". And I grew up, my dad told me stories of how great Willie Somerset is. But I'm just guessing that he was just a giant. And he's a little guy, but he
Played
played
much
large.
bigger than his height.
Yeah. Norm
Yeah.
Nixon was there. Storm and Norm Nixon, B.B. Flannery, the Gary brothers.
Well,
twins.
I'm not telling you anything, or Alan, that you don't already know. The Duquesne used to be one of the premier basketball programs in the country.
I had that conversation with him, and he forgot about one of my dad's friends, and actually a friend of mine, who was an All-American. Hopefully you found him, Alan Frank. His son played football for the San Francisco 49ers.
Big John Frank. Big John Frank.
His dad was Alan
Wow,
Frank.
Big John was better than Gronk in high
Yeah, he
school.
might have been on one of the national ranked teams.
But he didn't make the all-century team. I was surprised.
I don't, it depends on who votes for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously
wow.
you didn't.
I got to do some research. I better Google that.
Hey, you know what? Before
Frank, that's great.
we put a wrap on this week, I do want to kind of touch on the Pittsburgh Penguins, and there's some news that was released today about the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Pittsburgh Penguins over the last decade have had the highest local television ratings of any team in the NHL, and they have been knocked off the #1 perch. Their television ratings have dropped by 19% this season. They've been overtaken by the Buffalo Sabres, who are now the #1 team in local television ratings. Now, obviously the NHL doesn't have national television ratings because it's more of a regional type sport, and the way they play this game and the way they market it, they don't want any more attention. I don't understand why, and I think right
Canadians.
now, I think right now that the game of hockey is it's painful to watch. They need to do something to generate more fan interest, and this is what my suggestion would be. Now, this is something I've never understood about hockey, and no other sport does this. But why do you reward a team that is tied at the end of regulation? I think the only team that should be rewarded with points after a game is the winner. You win the game, you get 2 points. You lose the game, you get none. And I think that you should play to sudden death overtime in every game, so that in every single game there's a winner and there's a loser. I don't like the shootout. I think that's just a cheap way of putting an extra point on. And I guarantee you, instead of players skating around, passing the puck around at the end of the game, being satisfied at the tie, they'll be fighting, trying to score a game-winning goal in the last seconds because it means something. You'd get the fans more interested in the game, and I think it would improve TV ratings.
You know what? I got to give you a vote for commissioner of the NHL.
I give you a vote down. That's an arrow pointing down.
What do you mean?
With that,
what's with these arrows, guys?
I mean, I like that. That's
Why do you like
hockey is a lot better with the way they do with the ties is a lot better than Major League Baseball, where you get home field advantage if you win the All-Star game. So.
Well, I don't think that that's right either. I think in an exhibition game, nothing should be dependent on it.
Why can't Smoking Jim and Chip Hayner be the commissioners, or at least the advisors to the commissioners? Because they're making sense to me. I happen to agree with both of you.
I'm going to agree with you, Jim. I think going into the World Series, the team with the best record is the home team in the World Series. The team with, and if it comes down to both teams having the exact same record, with interleague play, head-to-head. You at some point you may have played this team, or there's tiebreakers that can be made.
Yeah.
Having who gets home field advantage in the World Series based on what happens in the All-Star game in July, I think it's a joke.
Well, here's what I would do. This is the best way to do it, to take it a step further. I agree with everything you said, but I just got to put a little icing on the cake.
What flavor?
This year, the National League gets the home field advantage. Next year, the American League, and you alternate it like that.
And it was that way for a long time until Bud Selig came up with this brilliant idea, and I don't think it was one of his best ones.
Although I do like baseball because it looks like the National League is going to get the designated hitter, and I love that.
And you know what, Jim? We'll talk about that happening if it happens. Because it hasn't yet, and I don't think it will.
He likes to stir it up a little because he's. What do you think of spring training starting tomorrow, Smoking Jim?
I'm all for it. Get all the baseball players out of Pittsburgh.
Most of them weren't living here anyhow. Well, at least we covered that.
Well, you look at some of the spring training sites that the Pirates have had over their history. One year in 1953, the Pirates had spring training in Cuba. They've been in Hot Springs, Arkansas. They've been in California. They've been in Arizona. They've been in Texas. They've been all over Florida. Now, since in the last 45 years or so, they've been at Bradenton, and they're going to stay there for quite some time.
Yeah, they just built the new ballparks, refurbished everything. Can't go, Smoking Jim. We'll have to take a road trip down there, Chip.
I can't wait.
Pittsburgh Sportsline on location
Peanuts
in Bradenton.
is on me.
Yeah, but don't buy those boiled peanuts. I don't know if you'd like them.
And then do not forget that when you go to Bradenton, you go see the Pirates play at McKechnie Field. And Bill McKechnie was the Pirates manager when they won the World Series in 1925.
Okay.
They retire his number 2.
I don't believe that they did. I'll check.
Everybody's number can't be retired. Even your number's not retired, whatever it is.
No, his number's not retired.
We're running out of time. I just need a little check. Does Devin know what time it is? It's accurate? Good, because I'll try to do my best. Well, thanks, Chip, for your extended trivia, your opinions. I got to vote for you NHL commissioner. I'm serious, because I would love that. Smoking Jim, I can't put you on anything except as a consultant. I appreciate it. We'll have some fun this weekend. I know that. Hope you enjoyed our show. I got to say, stay Joey strong. I would have one last thing, but you don't have to pull in on that. We're going to end this show right now. Stay Joey strong.